When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott, and I've got with me this morning special guest, Dave Westcott. That's right. It's just me this morning on the show, and we are going to talk about something that I love. And sometimes I love to have a show that's just me. I love the guests. I love conversating with the guests. I love having a great time with the guests. But sometimes it's great to have a little fun and do a show solo style. Excuse me. It's one of my favorite things to be able to do is just have the show. And today I'm talking about one of the things that I think is the most important in business. And in business, what I think is number one is cash flow. And how do we get good cash flow? How does cash flow become something that we just always have, that we're always moving forward, that we're always growing? And it starts with a sales machine. And you've got to have a great sales machine in front of you to be able to keep cash flow going. And without cash flow, the business eventually dies, it erodes, it fails, it's not sustainable. So how do we maintain cash flow? And cash flow is all about sales, and sales is all about math, numbers, things that we might have learned in school. But I'm going to show you today how to build a $10 million sales organization. And you might be thinking to yourself, man, how am I going to get to $10 million? How is that even possible? How would I even do that? I'm barely making $1 million, or I'm barely making $200,000. And what it comes down to is having a very, very laser focused drive with 100% discipline. Okay, there's many things that go into a sales organization, but I'm going to keep it very simple and very high level today. So we're going to have that focus, and I'm really going to start breaking it down for you. What does it take to build a $10 million business? Now, I don't care if you're in the home cleaning business, the commercial cleaning business, the concrete business, the fruit smoothie business, the retail business. I do not care what any of those things look like. What we have to do is we have to understand some key metrics first. And I'm going to use a whiteboard today. And as we use this whiteboard, we're going to break that down so that you can see some real live notes. You can see really how this works and how we put this together. And when I'm building my sales organization, I want to start with some key metrics. And if you're just starting your business, then these might be a hypothesis. So you might want to use industry standards to benchmark your actual success against. If you've been in business for a while, hopefully you have these numbers. If you don't have these numbers, these are a great thing to start tracking. So what do we want to do first? Let's just say that we're in a service-based business, and that business is, let's just say for the sake of argument, that we are in the business of cleaning residential homes. It doesn't matter what the business is. Like I said, it could be concrete, it could be asphalt, it could be landscaping maintenance, it could be anything, right? So, but there's some key fundamentals, and I like the residential home cleaning business because it has a very, very small customer project size. And so it's really about scalability. It's really about how do I do this like without, a monster sized project, because monster sized projects mean less projects. So we're going to talk about how we break that down and what that looks like. So Ralph, if you'd bring up the screen, that would be fantastic. Now, if we're talking about a house cleaning business, but this can be any business, okay? I want to use the house cleaning business for example. So let's say that we've got a standard everyday, 1,500 square foot residential home. So what we know that the cost to clean, a residential home for one clean a week is about $110, right? So we know that. We know that that's going to be a fixed cost. So we know that it's about, 110, per clean. So we're going to put that down in our notes. We know that that's our number. And now what we know is that we're going to do that 52 times a year, okay? So we know that if we close an average deal, the average cost for that deal per year is going to be $57.20, right? So that's a very important number to start to pay attention to, because now we know what the value of our customer is per year, okay? And when we know the value of the customer per year, we know how to benchmark that. Now, we're going to use some basics here. As somebody who has been a franchisor and had franchisees and coached many businesses and worked with it, we want to talk about the average close rate. So I've seen close rates in business be 40%. I've seen them be as low as 10%. So somewhere in the middle is probably where we want to be. I've seen good salespeople and good businesses run a 30% close rate. I like to budget for my own businesses a 30% close rate. But what we know is that that's not what everybody's going to produce. So for the sake of argument, let's just consider the fact that we are going to use a 20% close rate. So 20% is our close rate. And we've just got to do a little undo there. All right. This is always the fun about doing something new. You never know exactly how it's going to go, but we'll get there. So what we've got to do is we've got to know that we are at about, we are at 110 per clean. We are at 57.20 per year, and we've got a 20% close rate. So that means 1 out of every 5. Okay, so now we know a few things, right? And as we start to understand this math and we start to understand how to build a business, now we can get predictive, okay? So what are some other things that are really important to us? Well, the cost per lead is really, really important. So we're going to put that in here, cost per lead. Now, this is important because this helps us to start building a budget. This tells us how many estimators we need. This is going to tell us a lot of things about how we're going to build a $10 million business, okay? So as we break through this, it's really important that we keep track of these numbers and that we track these numbers really every single week. So as you create a scorecard, and we'll talk about a scorecard a little bit later on, it's really important that we have that scorecard so that we're measuring this on a weekly basis, okay? So cost per lead. So when we're talking about leads, the places that I think that are going to generate a lot of leads for service-based businesses are places like Angie's List, Home Advisor, now Angie Ads, Porch, Thumbtack, Build Zoom, maybe Judy's Book, Yelp, right? Even though a lot of people out there hate Yelp, like it's still a really good place to generate and get leads. All of these require you to do a good job, get 5-star reviews, and maintain, a good running business. But what we've got here and what we're able to put together is sources and places that are spending so much money per click on leads that they're always going to be at the front of the page. Like, you're never going to outspend Yelp. You're never going to outspend Thumbtack. You're never going to outspend Angie's List. It's just not going to happen. You don't have the resources and the ability. So they're going to buy leads, and they're going to buy them in bulk, and they're going to buy them at discounted rates, and they're going to do things because they're spending tens of millions of dollars, as an accumulative to drive contractors to their sites. And then when you're on their sites, listen, they want people to keep coming back. So it's really important that if a Yelp buyer buys from Yelp, that Yelp builds trust. And how does Yelp build trust? Yelp builds trust by, giving customers great experiences. And when the customer thinks about, oh man, that concrete job didn't go right, or this cleaning job wasn't the way that I wanted it to be, or this guy's didn't do a good job mowing the lawn, or the window cleaning was bad, whatever it is, they're also correlating that back to, well, I found them on Yelp, so I probably am not going to go back to Yelp again. I found them on Thumbtack, so I'm probably not going to use that resource again because my experience was bad. So what do they want to do? They want to drive as many 5-star reviews as possible. This is who they want to give the business to. So having a program in place where you're focused and driven on building reviews is going to be important. But that's a completely different topic. That's a completely different call. That's a completely different program. So what we want to do here is we really want to drive in. And what we find is that on average, it's going to cost about $150 per lead. So now we know that we have to spend $150 to get in front of a customer. Now there's some really important things here with leads, but what do we want to do? We want to be first to respond. Why? Because if it goes to Yelp or it goes to HomeAdvisor or it goes to any of these places, they're typically sending it out to 5 different people, okay? So there's not just you that's in the hunt. Now, what do we know about today? We know that we live in the Amazon society, the McDonaldization of society. We want it now, we want it fast, we want it quick. So best practice is get in front of your customer in 30 seconds or less. That's what we need to be shooting for. We've got 30 seconds to get in front of our customer and get them on the phone. Why do we want to do that? Because the faster we can get them on the phone, the better. The other thing is that if we can get them on the phone and we can have a scenario or a conversation where we talk for 5 to 10 minutes, guess what's happening? The contractors who also got that lead are doing what? They're calling at the same time. So now what we're also doing is blocking our competition from getting on the phone. So how do we do this? We want to start with building rapport. How do we start that? We want to have 30 seconds to 2 minutes of just building rapport. How are you doing? My name is Dave. I saw that your lead came in. That's great. How long have you been using Yelp? Have you been satisfied with the results? What else might you have purchased on here? Just having some rapport. Oh, wow. Yep, I did that too. That was a great experience at the bowling alley, whatever it might be. Next, we want to start declaring some problems, right? So like, hey, one of the things that we found, in doing this business for over 20 years is that, a lot of our, new clients were frustrated that, the cleaning companies showed up late or didn't show up on the same time every day or whatever it is. Identify a pain point and then say, hey, have you ever experienced that? Okay, well, what have you experienced? And so dive into some of those questions and really start to set the tone. And then the next thing that we want to do is we really want to set that appointment. We want to get that face-to-face time so that we're on site, we're meeting with the customer, and, we're talking about, what's going to happen in the sales estimate. These things are going to increase our close rate, but we're going to stick with the idea for now that what we're focused on is a 20% close. So what we've got here and what we know is a couple of things. We know that we are now paying $150 per lead, okay? So that's important. That's a good area of focus for us. Let's get our pen back up. So now we know that we are going to close 1 out of 5. So we know that it's going to cost us $750 for each job, right? Very, very important. $750 for each job. Now, what are some other things that we know? We know that an average job is worth $57.20. Now, if I want to build a $10 million business, I know that's a lot of zeros. What we want to know is how many jobs we need to get there. And that means that we need 1,748 jobs. Okay? How did we do that? We took 10 million and we divided it by our average job size. This equals $10 million. Now we know what the goal is. Now we need to know how many jobs can a cleaning crew do in a day, right? Well, if a cleaning crew has 2 people and the goal is to have them on site for 30 minutes for a residential home that's 1,500 square feet, we know that by the time they get out of there and they get to the job, we can budget them for 8 jobs a day. So we know that each one of our, on a one-time clean, they can do 40 jobs in a week. Okay? And we want to be specific here because, if we start taking on contracts that are cleaning every other week or once a month, it's going to dilute the program. So we want to be very niched and very specific in what we do. Because if I can take on 40 jobs in a week and they're every week jobs, I know that my cost per portfolio is going to be $228K, right? So I know that each one of my crews can produce about $228,000 in revenue. And so now if I take, my number of $10 million and I divide it by 228,000, that's going to tell me that I need 43 crews. So that also tells me something, that I'm going to need about 88 team members. This is just in the field, right? That's just what I need. I'm going to need some supervisors and some accountants and project managers. I'm going to need some different things. But now I start to understand the landscape of my business. So what does that mean? I'm probably going to need about 50 cars, right? What size of office space am I going to need? These people aren't going to be working from home. Now we start to understand the size of our business at $10 million. We've really got a feel for what we've got to do, okay? And this is really, really important because a lot of people, they don't even know what that looks like. And listen, there's little things here that I'm not factoring in and that, we would need to go over and discuss, maybe you have a marketing team, sales team, there's going to be different things here. But just for the base, this is how I get the roadmap. This is my critical path to 10 million. This is how I'm going to do it. So we know now that we need quite a few jobs, right? And so when we know that we need quite a few jobs, now we've got to build a plan for that, right? And it's going to start out with a budget. So if we know that we need 1748 is our magic number, how many do we want to bring in on a year? What's our growth path? Is it going to be 1 year? Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 2 years? And a lot of that scalability is going to be from cash and profitability and things that we've got to manage along the way. But let's look at that 1748 and say, okay, I need 1,748 jobs per year. And we know that each crew, right, can handle 40 clients per week. And, that's probably pushing the boundaries a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit less, but you're going to have some crews that are, more efficient. But we know that we need 48 crews. Whoops. Gotta love modern technology. We have fun with it, but it's also something that we have to practice on. So we've got our crews set out. We know how many jobs we can do in a week. But now what's important is I know that costs me $750 per job. Now, this is really important because if I go 1748 times 750, what happens is I know that it's going to cost me $1.311 million in purchased leads. That's what it's going to take me to get there. Now there's going to be some things that I have to focus on, which is attrition. How long does the average client stay with me? What do we know about attrition? Well, we know that if we can exceed the customer's expectations for the first 100 days, if we put that number down, 100 days, right? We really just blow them out of the water, go above and beyond. We have, follow-ups. How was the service today? Little white glove, services like everything is completely clean, and maybe we leave a little gift for them on the kitchen counter. Maybe we leave a little thank you note saying this is what we cleaned. Maybe we leave a check, a list that says these are the things that we touched, or maybe we bring up something and say, hey, listen, this particular item we weren't able to get to, but we're going to get to it next week, right? If we start to really own that 100 days, how often is the supervisor checking in? What can we do for them? Can we give them a little discount on their bill? But whatever it is, that 100 days is really important. What we know is that if we can win 100 days, we can keep a client for 7 years. That's what the statistics tell us. So the first 100 days is really, really important. So what do we got to do? We've got to master an onboarding process, right? We know that our clients are busy. So how do we do that? We want to go over expectations. We want to set up a Zoom call. We want to do a property walk. We want to introduce them to the team so that they know Matilda, who's coming out to clean. They trust her. They've given her a key to the house. They know that things are going to be going the right way. We want to have good communication on everything we do, right? So customer onboarding and customer success becomes really, really important. Have you ever bought something on like StubHub and you've looked at StubHub and you just spent, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm taking the kids to Taylor Swift. I just can't believe I paid $2,500 a ticket. This event is bigger than the Super Bowl. I've got 5 daughters. I just spent $12,500 going to Swifty, right? And you bought them on StubHub. What's the next thing that you're doing? You're checking your email, make sure you got those tickets, right? And the truth of the matter is, because you bought them on StubHub, even when you get to the concert, you're still saying, are these real? I hope these are real. I hope these aren't fake tickets. I hope I'm going to get in, right? Because we've all heard the horror stories. So what does StubHub have to do? They have to be great at that customer experience, letting us know what's going on, showing us our tickets, allowing us access, just constant emails and touches and just all of the things that are going to make us feel warm and comfortable about this big purchase that we just made. Well, it's the same here. The customer is deciding from the minute that they chose you, was this the wrong decision? Sometimes I might want to talk about the cleaning products I'm using. Is this, household friendly? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? What do I need to know about your house that's unique? What things are you really picky about? Are you really picky about the restrooms and the bathrooms? Do we need to throw a urinal mint into the toilet? Like, what do we need to do to go above and beyond? Do the showers build up scum that has to be taken care of? Like, what are we doing to make sure that this is the best experience possible? And then how are we talking about things like how much time we're going to be on site? Because if I'm paying $110 for my cleaning service, what might be frustrating to me is like, hey, they were only here for 30 minutes. I just paid $110 for 30 minutes. The customer's not thinking, well, you had 2 people and I had drive time, I had overhead, and I had blah, 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 blah. They're just thinking about the end result. So we've got to know that we've trained a plan to get in and clean in 30 minutes and that it's really thorough. So what kind of equipment are we using? Do we have the most modern technology for the vacuum? Are we using their vacuum that's at the home? Does this house have any particular chemicals where they want us to use their chemicals? Like, we need to know these things. So if we can keep that customer and if we can roll that out, and then we were to say, okay, great, what we want to do is build out this $10 million plan, and we want to do this over a 5-year period, we now have a time frame. We now know that we want to have a $10 million cleaning business, and we want to have that business rocking and rolling within 5 years. So what do we start to do? We know, okay, great. If I need to do that, I've got 1,748 clients that I need to have. That means I need to bring on 350 clients every single year. Now, I need to really onboard them well so that I don't lose. But I might want to say, well, listen, I'm going to lose 25 clients a year, so I might want to bring on 375. What is my attrition rate going to be? That's, 8-7%, right? Attrition rate. And if we can keep it at 95%, we're really, really doing a great job. But now we know that we've got a plan, and that plan is going to tell us how we get to where we're going. And when we have the plan, we can work things out for success. So we know that we're going to bring on 375 clients a year. We know that we can, take care of, each crew can take care of, 40 clients. So we got our number, 1748. And we know what that looks like. Divided by 40 is we need to have 44 crews. We want to divide that by 5. So we know that we want to bring on about 9 crews a year. So that's 18 employees per year that we want to hire. So what's the hiring plan? How are we vetting them? How are we bringing them on? Who's in charge of that? Do we have an HR person? But now we're starting to build out an operational plan that shows us how to get the people that we need to take care of it. We're starting to talk to the bank and we're saying, hey, we're going to buy 9 cars a year every year for the next 5 years. We're starting to go to Ford or Nissan or whoever, and we're starting to say, hey, listen, we're going to put a plan in place. I want you to be my preferred dealership. I want 9 cars a year. Right now we're starting to build a relationship. Now you're important. Now you're going to get bulk deals and discounts and things, that others, quite possibly aren't used to. So now you're going to be leveraging what you're doing because people know your growth plan. Your company knows your growth plan. This is our plan to get to 10 million. This is how many clients we need. This is how we're going to do it. This is where we're going to get our leads. We've identified the lead sources. We know the cost per lead. The thing that can benefit us is if that cost of lead goes down. If we can increase that close rate from 20% to 30%, we're going to be in a much better place financially. But now we know we're going to bring on 375 clients a year. We're going to plan to lose 25 clients a year based on attrition. And now we are on track to building that $10 million company. So now we just need to make sure that we have enough money in our budget to get there. So we know that we're going to spend, approximately $1.3, million on ads. That's, let's be honest, that's not 375, but that's 350. So what do we got? We got our 375 times 750 because we know that's what it costs to buy a client. So we know that our marketing budget for the year is $281K. We know that's what we've got to see. Now, when it comes to salespeople, what do we know? Got to have 375 deals closed, right? Okay, so 1 out of 5. That means that we're going to have to run 1,875 leads. I now know exactly how many customers I have to get in front of. How many customers can a salesperson run in a day? I like to say they can get 6 in a day. So if I can run 6 in a day, and there's 5 days in a week, that means I can run 30 every single week. If I can run 30 every single week and I got 52 weeks in a year, I know that I can run 1,560 leads in a year. So what does that mean? I'm a little bit short. So if I've got 1,875 and I only want to have one salesperson, I don't want the expense of bringing another person on, what do they need to do? I need to divide that by 52, and that tells me I need to run 36 leads per week. If I run 36 leads per week in a 5-day week, what am I looking at? 36 divided by 5, I'm 7.2. Okay, so what's my goal? 7.2. So what would I push that to? I'd push that to 8 leads a day. And then if I'm building a sales organization, here's the things I want to see. Hey, salesperson Mike, here's the goal. Here's the plan. What I know is now that I want a bonus Mike, sales guy Mike, right? Sales guy Mike. Okay, so Mike, every single week that we hit our numbers, right? So we know that we've got to hit 36 leads in every single week, and we're going to multiply that by 4.33 because there's some weeks that have 5. Every single month that you hit 155 leads ran in a month, I'm going to give you an extra $1,500. That's your bonus for hitting 155. How are you motivating that salesperson to hit that number? Very, very important. And then what's my close rate? What do I got to get out of 155 times 0.2? I know that I got to close 31 jobs. So if I can say, listen, I want you to close 35 jobs, see my number here, I'm already prepared, then I'm going to give you an additional $1,500 bonus. Why? Because he's hitting the goal. He's moving the needle. Do you see why this is important? I just don't want to recognize the commission, that I'm going to pay the salesperson, I want to motivate the salesperson above and beyond to say, you know what, I'm okay with the 10-hour day on Monday. I'm okay with the 10-hour day because now I can pay this salesperson an additional $36,000 a year above bonuses, above commissions, above whatever. They get a completely additional plan. Super, super important as you're going along this journey, right? You've got to recognize the sales guy. And then what's the commission rate that he's going to get on the job, and how do you pay him out? Do you pay him out monthly? Do you pay him out at the beginning? What does that look like? What does the salary look like? Okay. What I want my salespeople to do is really be focused on money. So I want to be as commission-based as possible. Right? So if I can be as commission-based as possible, if I tell Mike, I'm giving you 10% of everything that you sell, and, we know that you're going to sell 10 million over 5 years, and we know that that's $2 million a year. We know that that's going to be, $200,000 in commissions. That's how we want him to be motivated. But to do that, we've got to have leads. We've got to have a program in place where he can pick up his leads. He can't be hunt and kill. His car's got to be filled. His appointments have to be ready. He has to be organized, set, prepped, and ready to go. These are the base fundamentals of how you would build a $10 million service-based business. And I'll tell you this, if you're in landscaping construction, it's a lot easier because the average job size is closer to $35,000. If you're in, asphalt paving and the average job size is closer to $75,000, it's a lot easier. If the job, depending on the job, whatever it looks like, whatever you're selling, the higher value that you can get per job, the more it goes up. If you go into commercial cleaning and you're cleaning every night versus every day, right? You just made that 5 times easier, right? So as you're thinking about your sales program and you're building it out, you have to understand the numbers and the metrics. And that's how you're going to build your scorecard. Your scorecard is going to be really, really, really focused on how many leads did I run per week? How many jobs did I close per week? What was my cash per week? What was my attrition per week? What was my 5-star reviews per week? These are the things that I want to be tracking every single week, watching how they're coming in. One of the things that we know is that when we hit 200 reviews on Google above 4.5 stars, we will close 44% higher. That means that 20% close rate goes to 66 when you have 200 reviews above 4.5. Now you're going to have 1,748 customers to make up that dollar amount, but you're probably going to have 2,400 to get there with the attrition that you're going to have along the way. So you've got a lot of opportunity to have reviews. So push the reviews as much as you can. Get a review from a husband, a wife, as many as you can to keep your business running. That's how you build a $10 million business. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's all about diving in and giving incredible tips that help change your life, help change your business, and take your business to the next level. We are back 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single week. If you liked the show, give us a like, give us a comment, drop your comments in the comment box. I'll respond back to you. If you'd like to talk about how you build a business and build a sales organization, reach out to me. I do consulting every single day with CEOs, with sales teams, and I'm happy to chat with you about building out a sales program for your organization. This is not a sales pitch. It's just the facts. I have sold over $100 million in contracts, and at the end of the day, I'm here to share that knowledge with you and help you build a business that changes your life, not only for your life, but helps you create generational wealth for you and your family. And you do that by creating great sales plans. So reach out to me, shoot me a DM. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere where it's social. I'm hanging out. Like it, follow it, hang out with me. But if you want to shoot me a DM, the best place to DM me is on LinkedIn. That's the best place that we can connect and chat. I'd love to help you with your program and your sales initiative that you're building out. And I think that building a $10 million sales organization is something that any company can achieve. I hope these tips were helpful today. Thank you for joining into the show. I look forward to seeing you next week with another exciting guest, or maybe just me. We'll see how we decide to roll the dice and throw out the cards. But it's always a great time on the entrepreneurial journey. Thank you for taking the time to hang out. Have a great day.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.